6 rolls towards a conclusion. World Championship aspirations have been left in its wake. Johnny Chan's main event is over, as well as dreams of a sibling showdown at the final table.
Still got Grinder in there.
Chip leader Michael Mizrachi now goes it alone in his attempt to bring the family a world title. Yes! But with just over 100 players remaining, the competition will only get more fierce.
Wow, I played that well.
As day 6 comes to an end, the goal is to survive, to play another day. Woo! And take another step closer towards poker's ultimate prize.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
Welcome back to the World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Alongside Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. Only 106 players remain on day 6 of the main event, including a few athletes turned poker pros, like former tennis pro Nick Rainey, who's struggling as one of the short stacks.
They're done for.
Meanwhile, Jean-Robert Ballon is also struggling. Former chip leader Matt Affleck is still near the top of the leaderboard, and Gary Kostiak hopes to continue his inspirational run.
I was taught not to celebrate, but I couldn't help a couple times today.
Fresh off his penalty, a subdued Filippo Candio has moved to what's been an excitable table 2 with Rob Pisano and a rejuvenated Theo Tran. Also still at the table is John Racner, along with his 5.5 million chips. At our featured table remains a player whose remarkable World Series and Day 6 continue.
Michael Mizrachi has tripled his Day 6 stack, hoping to make the November 9 his 4th World Series final table of 2010.
Brother Robert has joined the Grinder rooting section.
All 3 of you guys finished in the money.
Four of us finished in the money.
4 of you finished in the money? That's pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. I'm thinking the World Series might have to enact an anti-Mizrachi law.
They'll have to wait until next year because there is a Mizrachi atop the hotly contested leaderboard. Former chip leader Matt Affleck is 10th with 3.8 million. Alex Kostritsin also on the list with just under 5 million and seated at our featured table.
Like the Grinder, Alex, with a big Day 6, doubling his stack.
The blinds right now at 15 and 30,000, a 4,000 chip ante. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam, Peter Jetton looks down at ace-4 offsuit, and he'll throw those into the muck. Getty Mattingsley won't play, folded over to the Grinder. Michael Mizrachi with a weak ace tray.
The last Mizrachi standing. Man, it took forever to get rid of the rest of them. They were starting to get on my nerves.
From the hijack seat, Mizrachi raises to 80,000. Alex Kostritsin, Russian pro with pocket 7s.
Grinder, of course, won the Poker Players Championship. This guy finished 10th. He can flat out play.
He calls for 80,000. Folded over now to the big blind, Dewey Lay, 27-year-old from San Francisco. This is his 3rd World Series cash. He has pocket 4s.
Nice watch. I mean, that watch tells time. Trust me.
He makes the call. 3 players will see a flop. Kostritsin is best with his 7s. The flop is deuce-10 deuce. Mizrachi got none of that. His family looking on.
Why does Lily have sunglasses on? Thank you.
Kostritsin with his 7s and deuces is ahead. Lay missed that. He checks. Grinder now with ace tray. Is going to bet it. He likes to bet 100,000.
Grinder released those chips like, I shouldn't bet it, but I'm going to anyway.
Now Kostritsin with the best hand calls.
Grinder's not happy about that.
Lay and his watch retreat.
Well, Grinder's got it down to heads up as a 9-1 dog. I guess it could be worse.
Turn card is another 10. Mizrachi still on the short end of that deal. Kostritsin remains a heavy favorite. Grinder checks this time.
Grinder either cutting his losses or setting up a check raise bluff.
Kostritsin with a $250,000.
And Grinder staring at Kostritsin like he stole something from the family lockbox a few years ago.
Grinder does look suspicious.
Why don't you steal it?
And falls.
$100 to shove. A ruble.
Randy Dorfman willing to pay to see Alex's cards.
I'm a patriot, but not that much. To get rubles instead of dollars.
Rubles aren't worth anything anymore.
Well, Grinder's hand was not worth even a few rubles, but if he stays atop the leaderboard, it will be worth almost $9 million US to him. By the end of day 6, that wild dream of being the next world champion of poker will become a realistic possibility. What an amazing accomplishment that would be for any of the remaining players. But Norman, only one still has a chance at unprecedented poker history.
Lon, nobody has ever won the 50K Poker Players Championship, the main event, and Player of the Year in the course of their career. Yet if Michael Mizrachi can keep grinding to glory here, he'll have captured all 3 in 1 year. With my apologies to Chris Moneymaker, that would be beyond fairy tale, and it sure doesn't seem inconceivable anymore.
No matter where Michael finishes, he'll no doubt be able to look back proudly at this year's World Series. Out in the field, a player who had a great World Series last year, Eric Baldwin, the former baseball player, sat at 2 final tables and won a bracelet, but is now looking on as German pro hoopster Michael Skinder with a suited king deuce is facing David Baker, who's all in with ace-4 off.
Deuce.
All right, now the flop. It is 10 deuce tray. Skinder got his deuce to take the lead. Baker with a wheel draw.
Baker should be asking for a card.
Turn card is another tray that helps Baker a little.
Baker needs an ace, 4, 5, or 10, or he's gone.
It's a 4. Baker pairs up, and that's good enough for a double up.
Who'd ever think that the 4 was actually sucking out?
Yeah, I don't normally get excited.
David Baker was excited there? Boy, if you want excited, I guess Michael Skinder is your man.
The hoopster remains above the chip average with nearly $2.5 million and seems to have put that loss behind him. But former tennis player Nick Rainey has reason for concern. He's all in and at risk against Sergei Rybachenko, who flopped a pair of kings. Rainey picked up a pair of 8s. So Rainey looking to survive. Turn card is a trade. No help to Nick.
Patrick Antonius' former assistant needs an ace or an 8, or he's gone.
It's a 5 of clubs. Rybachenko will win the hand. Nick Rainey knocked out of the main event in 106th place.
And Lana, I think there are only 6 hoodies now left in the main event.
The former tennis pro wins over $57,000. Let's go over to table 2, the second biggest stack in the room. John Racner looking on as his friend Theo Tran flopped aces up and is in a hand against Manuel Davidian, who leads after flopping Broadway.
They both flopped huge hands, but Theo Tran is the one in huge trouble.
We've seen Theo in trouble before and has managed to wiggle out of it to still survive here on day 6. And he checks. Davidian now from Morton Grove, Illinois, checks behind.
Well, 2 players can't be trapping each other in the same hand.
Turn card is an 8. Davidian way ahead, but not out of danger just yet.
They both think they have the other trapped.
Tran checks again. Davidian now reaching for chips. He very carefully puts together 92,000. Tran check raises to 220.
Theo takes his first step into the abyss.
Yeah, and Davidian just with a call.
Davidian's got him right where he wants him.
All right, the river card. Theo Tran in a deep hole. 5 of clubs. Davidian makes it official. He's got the check mark.
I don't think the 3rd club on the board worries Theo Tran.
He does check.
I think he's still trapping, hoping Davidian bets.
Mullen.
Davidian obliges, but I'm not sure Tran expected that.
Yeah, Theo's got to be worried now, Lon. We've seen Theo Tran survive earlier all-ins when he was behind, but if he calls here, there is no escape. He'll be all in and all out.
The call.
Theo Tran makes the call and will say farewell to this main event.
So could have just called.
Theo Tran finally ran out of lives here at the main event.
Theo Tran knocked out by Manuel Davidian in 105th place, earning over $57,000.
He was 125th last year, 105th this year. Well done by Tran.
Davidian takes the last of Tran's chips. Theo worked so hard to stay alive in this tournament, but calls off all his chips, and his main event has come to a painful end.
Tournament poker. It's about stamina, determination, patience, and the will to never give up. It's about challenging yourself every day to rise above the rest. Pick your moment, then make your play. With an online tournament starting every second, challenge yourself for free at PokerStars.com and find the PokerStar in you.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, just over 100 players remain. Here's a look at the youngest ever main event champs. Winning the first main event made Johnny Moss the youngest by default. When Phil Hellmuth broke the record in '89, he held it for almost 2 decades. It's been broken the past 2 years, and now 3 players remain who could break the record again. At 21 years, 2 months, Evan Lamprilla is the youngest of the 3 who can continue the trend. While at another table, young Mikhail Sipkins is looking on as action is folded to his fellow record hopeful Michael Wyrot. He was re-raised by John Armbrust.
Wyrot started playing when he was 15.
Gonna race.
Wyrot says he's going to re-raise. Armbrust made it 190,000. And now Wyrot says 480,000.
They're just not young and restless, Lon. They are young and unrelenting.
And the 29-year-old Armbrust, an amateur from Culver City, California, lays it down.
Yeah, well, 29, Lon. I believe Armbrust is getting just a bit too old for this game.
Math teacher still manages a smile. Wyrot enjoying his ride. He has a top 10 chip stack, has nearly quadrupled that stack here on day 6. Elsewhere, 24-year-old James Carroll has taken a slight downturn and is below the chip average. He faces a decision against Damian Luis, who put out a bet of $250,000 on the river.
Carroll's made a lot of good decisions at this main event.
He makes a call on the river. Straight and flush possibilities on the board, and Luis turns over a set of 4s.
James Carroll is feeling older by the minute.
James mucks his cards, and Luis is building a nice chip stack out there in the field, while James Carroll, the day 3 chip leader, has hit a rough patch down to just below 1.4 million. Back over at the featured table, the ever-changing leaderboard has shifted once again. Michael Mizrachi is now also a former chip leader, down to just below 5.4 million. He has fallen slightly behind Alex Kostritsin, who is the chip leader with just over 6 million.
So who's the best Russian player, all you guys? Overall, poker player.
Including bankroll management.
No, bankroll management is nothing. It means a lot, but I'm not talking about bank. All the great poker players have bad bankroll management. Including me.
Grinder knows of what he speaks. The IRS hit him with a lien this year for $340,000 in back taxes, and he had to foreclose on a couple of properties, including his home in Florida. But Grinder says he's all right. He's hired a better accountant, and he just has to learn how to handle his money better.
Action will begin with Chris Bolt from Nashville, Tennessee. 26-year-old's first World Series cash pocket 5s.
We're going to see a 20-somethings here, Lon. They may toss us out of here pretty soon.
Bolt from under the gun raises to 80,000. To Mizrachi now. 7-6 of hearts.
I just noticed Grinder's got a nice set of guns. Very comparable to the way I used to look when I worked out.
Grinder makes that call. Brock Bourne next in line. Lays it down. Now to the new tournament chip leader, Alex Kostritsin. 10-9 of hearts.
Grinder was asking Alex who the best poker player is in Russia. Alex is in the discussion. This is his 3rd straight main event cash. He was 84th in 08.
From the cutoff seat, he makes the call. Dewey lay folds, so Bolt will see a flop against these 2 top pros. He'll have his work cut out for him, even with his pocket pair. The flop is 6-9-6. Mizrachi hits trip 6s. First to act is Bolt, and he checks it.
And Grinder's going to fire away.
No slow play with 2 others in the hand, 100,000. Kostritsin with 9s and 6s calls.
He's got 1 customer.
Bolt bolts.
Bolt went from first to worst, and he leaves us.
Heads up between 2 of the top stacks in the main event. It's an ace of hearts that misses both. Mizrachi remains a big favorite. And he bets 200,000.
They both glance at each other, but I believe both are spoken for.
They are very wary of each other. Kostritsin, I guess, doesn't think Grinder has an ace, and he's right about that. He makes the call. River card, Queen of Diamonds, Mizrachi with the check mark now. Michael, first to act. And he's going to lead out again, this time 825,000.
Grinder makes nearly a pot-sized bet there, making it look like he wants Kostritsin to go away.
Alex relinquishes his hand, and in the process, the Grinder is back in the chip lead.
And Grinder takes in the pot with those finely toned biceps.
Winning key matchups like those are key to your main event success.
Hello, beautiful. Oh, yeah.
No one to play with. So play online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.
You folded?
Back inside the Rio, $67,000 guaranteed to everyone remaining. Let's go over to table 2. John Racner's chip stack of nearly $6 million puts him in second place right now. Filippo Candio has been quiet since his earlier penalty. They're watching as Rob Pisano raised to $75,000 with 9-8 of clubs, called by the big blind John Dolan with Queen Jack of Hearts. 10 ace 7 2 hearts. Dolan with straight and flush draws. Pisano picked up an up and down straight draw. Dolan first to act, needs a king for Broadway. He checks. Pisano's going to bet at $90,000.
Pisano on the draw, Dolan on the better draw.
Dolan, former poker dealer from Florida, check raises to $280,000.
All in.
And Pisano re-raises Dolan all in.
I call.
And Dolan makes the call with queen high in his draws.
You're ahead.
Dolan willing to risk it all on the draws. He had more than 30 big blinds left. As it turns out, the math was right, and Dolan is ahead.
All right, so the turn card is a deuce of clubs. Pisano now with a club flush draw.
Dolan holding on, his main event teetering. Pisano needs a non-heart, 6, 8, 9, or jack, or any club to knock out Dolan.
It's a heart on the river, and Dolan hits his flush to secure the double up and stay alive.
John Dolan earned that smile. He can play poker again.
Pisano drops below $3 million. Dolan has worked his stack back up to $2.2 million. Back out into the field, Matt Affleck has continued to maintain a healthy stack. He's looking on as Gary Kostiuk, hoping this is not the end of his main event. With ace-queen and his son Ryan looking on, Kostiuk moved all in, was called by Sergei Rybachenko with 9-4 of clubs.
We've seen the Russian with a couple of opportunities to knock out Kostiuk before this.
The flop is king, 10, 2 clubs. Kostiuk with a Broadway draw, Rybachenko with a flush draw.
I can win it lots of ways.
Rybachenko has seen him win it lots of ways.
He has indeed. Turn card is a 4. That pairs Rybachenko. Kostiuk now pointed toward the exit.
And now Gary Kostiuk will need a non-club queen, jack, 10, or ace, or he will be eliminated.
The river card. A jack of hearts, and Kostiuk rivers his straight to keep his main event hopes alive. Rybachenko can't believe it.
If I were Kostiuk, I would stay out of Russia for a while. That's the third time we've seen Kostiuk double through Rybachenko.
Gary Kostiuk living his dream of playing in the main event since being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. He'll stick around. Well done, Gary. Meanwhile, Eric Baldwin is holding ace-queen. He's deciding whether to call the all-in of David Baker, who pushed with jacks for almost $600,000.
Baker's been hovering around 20 big blinds for a while.
I call.
Baldwin makes the call to put Baker at risk.
Damn it. I was hoping it was 10. It was ace, queen, or 2 tens. Damn it. I thought it was ace, queen, or 10.
Good luck, Dave.
Right.
The flop, queen, jack, 9. Baker hits a set. Baldwin with a pair of queens. Baker in control, looking for the double up. Turn card is an 8. That puts a straight draw on the board.
Baker has survived his all-in. If a 10 comes on the river, they would chop the pot.
River card, tray of diamonds, and Baker with his set will win and survive. He'll continue his fruitful run through this World Series, which includes 2 final tables, but despite his success, he's sometimes had a problem distinguishing himself in the poker world.
There is 2 David Bakers, and one of us is old, me, and one of us is young, him. So, I'm just the original one. I've been Dave Baker a lot longer than him. This is my 7th cash, and he's had a great year, too. They got the couple congratulations on the bracelet that he won. It was funny, on the World Series of Poker.com, they merged us into one. Together, we're really good. Apart, we're just good.
I didn't realize you were such a big deal.
This has been going on for years. He's been around for a while, and I'm not going anywhere, so people are just going to have to get used to sorting out who we are. I'm hoping to win this so I could just, once and for all, just be David Baker.
The 2 David Bakers have a combined 30 World Series cashes, and I've heard this David Baker's been staying in the presidential suite using comps from the other one.
James Carroll has also been mistaken for another poker-playing James Carroll. This one's in trouble. All in with King 8 against the Ace-King of Evgeny Schneider. The flop was all spades. Schneider with a flush draw.
Carroll all but out of here.
Turn card is another spade. Schneider hits his flush to take the last of James Carroll's chips. Carroll gone in 96th place.
I know that's a really important beverage transaction over there, but I wouldn't mind if James would first shake hands with the fella who knocked him out. I hope he's got correct change.
Carroll wins over $67,000 for his nice run. Back to the featured table. The sting of elimination still fresh for the Mizrachi brothers, who are watching from the rail and cheering on their brother Michael.
Don't they ever go home?
Yeah, you pay these people off the street to come with you. What do they get? Like $100 to just sit there and...
You get a lot crazier in the final 9. You might lose your mind if you make it. You might just quit.
We saw the Grinders cheering section at the Poker Players Championship. I nearly lost my mind.
Action on Peter Jetton. He looks down at Ace King.
On the other hand, there are Peter Jetton buttons all over the Rio, but they don't make any noise, Lon.
The online poker coach raised it to $75,000. Over to Marcel Cole. This is his first World Series cash. 10-6 off.
I ran into Marcel a couple of days ago. He says, Phil Ivey's out. Why don't you back me then? I told him, you have no chips. I guess you're the poor man's Phil Ivey, and he likes that name.
He makes a call from the button to Michael Mizrachi, 9-7 of hearts in the small blind.
The rich man's Mizrachi right now, the last Mizrachi standing.
And this Mizrachi makes the call to the big blind, Brock Bourne. Bourne looks down at pocket jacks. Bourne makes the call as well.
Bourne's going to be out of position. I would have preferred if he had 3-bet it right there and narrowed the field.
A 4-way flop. It is Queen, Jack, King. Bourne hits a set of jacks. Jetton with a pair of kings and a gut shot. Mizrachi with a gut shot of his own. Cole with an up and down straight draw. Mizrachi checks. Bourne checks.
Again, I would have preferred if Bourne had bet, but being that he's one of the few people left in this room older than us, Lon, I'll respect his judgment.
The other two check it. Here's the turn card. 8 of diamonds. Bourne is still best. Mizrachi now drawing dead. And the grinder checks. Bourne now.
Now Bourne springs into action.
This will get everyone's attention. $200,000.
He might get some takers. Jetton's got top pair, top kicker with a straight draw, and Cole's got an up and down straight draw.
Jetton has chips and does make the call.
Jetton might even have raised there.
Cole gets out of the way. Mizrachi making motions of folding, and he does. So heads up. Bourne right now crushing Peter Jetton. River card is another king. Bourne gets the check mark. He's got jacks full, but that gave Peter Jetton trips.
Nasty card for Peter Jetton.
Bourne checks, hoping Peter has a betting hand.
Old and cagey.
Jetton does have a betting hand. Makes it 325.
Jetton steps into the abyss.
I'm all in.
Bourne check raises all in.
All right, I call.
Peter Jetton makes the call and will be handing over a bunch of chips to Brock Bourne.
We'll score one for the old fella. The way Brock Bourne played that baby, I would have bet the mortgage he didn't have a full house. If I were Jetton, I would have called 2.
Peter Jetton was never ahead in that hand, but still handed Bourne over $1 million of his chips.
At Ultimate Bet, we constantly perfect and test our software to ensure it's the fastest, most advanced around. We consult with the best. So our tournament structure and player interface, wow, like no other. But there's one test that totally cleans up at the table. One test that truly defines the ultimate poker experience. Nice. Very nice.
Back at the Rio, Michael Mizrachi at our featured table has been fighting for the chip lead with Alex Kostritsin, who's in a hand right now with pocket tens, having called the pre-flop raise of Flavio Zumbini with ace-king of spades.
Zumbini, a 32-year-old pro.
The flop is queen 10-7. Kostritsin with a set of tens. Zumbini with a Broadway draw. Kostritsin first to act. $175,000.
Zumbini graduated from Libera Università Internazionale degli Studi Sociali in Rome. I believe they are the Rambling Wreck.
Zumbini called. Tray of spades on the turn. Kostritsin still best. Zumbini now with a nut flush draw also. Alex reaching for the new 100,000 lavender chip. There's 4 plus a little more, 450.
Zumbini has 2 PhDs. He says his mother wonders why he became a doctor twice in order to play poker.
Good point.
I'm all in.
He raises all in.
How much is that? I call.
And Kostritsin makes a call for about 1.5 more. He'll have the lead, but will have to dodge some trouble on the river.
Zumbini's mother happy he didn't get a 3rd PhD. The Italian needs a jack or any spade other than the queen. Otherwise, he's gone.
River card is a deuce of diamonds. Kostritsin wins it with a set. Zumbini sends all his chips to the Russian pro, who's now over 6.8 million and in second place on the leaderboard. Out in the field, another player enjoying day 6. Matt Affleck, also with over 6 million, is in third place, but both he and Kostritsin may drop a spot. Theo Jorgensen in great shape to take the chip lead with kings up after calling Faki Bucher's all in with a pair of kings after the turn.
You may recall Jorgensen's victory dance earlier when he scored a double knockout. I don't know if he boogies when it's just a single knockout.
He does win the hand, no boogie, but Faki Bucher's is eliminated in 94th place. Jorgensen picks up that $5.5 million chip pot. He is once again the top stack in the room. Looking at our leaderboard presented by PokerStars.net, Jorgensen sitting on top, Michael Mizrachi looming in 5th place, but the biggest climb of the day may belong to Michael Wyrot, who started the day under $1 million. He's now up to 4.7 million. Wyrot and a hand right now with Mikhail Sipkin's pre-flop.
These are 2 of the players who can beat Joe Cata's youngest ever record.
Sipkin's just re-raised Wyrot. And Wyrot says, I'm all in.
Should these guys be playing Legos or maybe Candyland heads up?
Sipkins would need to go all in to make this call. And Sipkins lays it down to the pressure of his fellow 21-year-old.
He conceded to his elder.
Wyrot takes a few chips from Sipkins. Michael enjoying success at an early age, but he holds a very mature appreciation for where he is.
I was born in Greece, and we moved to Canada when I was about 3 years old. Back when we were in Greece, we used to live in a shack, and my dad would work like 13, 14 hours a day. But I know that because my dad works so hard for me, that I have that drive to work hard as well. In everything that I do, I always like to compete and try and become the best at it. That's the nature of a poker player. I would have loved to play a lot more sports when I was younger, but my family really couldn't support that. So ever since I was 17 years old, I said once I turn 21, I'm definitely going to the World Series of Poker. Take that one off the bucket list. I started playing online, and at first my dad thought that I would lose all my money, but I just been building my bankroll, and now I'm playing like the highest buy-in tournaments that there are online. He's behind me 100%. At what point do you fly your parents in? My mom, she would be more happy if I was even just like a baker or something. Our family's actually doing a lot better now, but if I end up winning 9 million, it's scary to think of the possibilities because it literally is life-changing. Yeah, I'm getting a little too excited talking about it right now.
Michael is still in school at the University of Toronto studying finance, and he says he will graduate.
Back over to table 2. Action is folded around to another young player. There are a bunch of them here. 24-year-old John Dolan. Dolan looks down at pocket eights.
He used to be a poker dealer at a dog track in Florida, which is better than being a dog walker at a poker room.
He raises to 100,000. Now to John Racner from Tampa, Florida. You got to love it. He lost the hat. Queen 10 of clubs.
Racner, like Dolan, they're both 24. They're both from Florida. They both dropped out of college in Florida to play poker.
Fold it over to Filippo Candio. The Italian pro looks down at 10-4.
What's happened to our Filippo? It's like he has a muzzle on.
Yeah, you're right. He folds, so heads up between the two Sunshine State boys, Dolan and Racner. The flop 4-9 king. Dolan's pocket 8 still lead. Racner with a gut shot now.
Racner with 11 World Series cashes. Dolan with 6.
Dolan bets 150,000 with his pocket 8s. Racner comes along.
I do like Racner better without that baseball cap. You're right.
Turn card, another 4. Dolan still in control. Racner got no help there. Dolan now checks.
Dolan a bit concerned by Racner's call on the flop.
Racner wants to see how serious Dolan is. Bets 220,000.
Racner semi-bluffing at it. Hopes to end it right there.
But Dolan comes along with his eights.
And now Racner's got to be concerned.
River card and Racner spikes a jack. He earns the check mark with a straight.
Nothing like hitting an inside straight to wash away all your worries.
Dolan checks again. Racner bets $740,000 with a king high straight. And Dolan cringes and folds.
Dolan frustrated, but he folds correctly.
Racner collects his winnings. His stack says it all. He's giving the chip leader a serious challenge.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio 88 remaining players scattered throughout the poker room, but Eric Baldwin may be on his way out. He's all in with a suited King Jack, trailing Andrew Brokus and his suited Ace 4.
Two bright poker minds and two class acts.
The flop 7, deuce 8, Baldwin, no help whatsoever. Brokus still best with Ace high.
What's going to be the 9?
Turn card is a king. Baldwin's pair of kings are favored to double up.
And now only an ace would send Eric Baldwin home.
The river card now is a 9, and Baldwin wins that hand and will survive. He started the day with very few chips. He's improved, but is still short-stacked. All right, let's go over to the feature table once again. A lot more chips in play with our chip leader, Theo Jorgensen, joining Kostritsin and the grinder there. Michael's brothers, Donnie and Eric, are getting resettled in their seats.
You're a beast.
That's a myth.
He was actually a feral child.
A feral child?
Raised by wolves.
No, he was raised by Mama Grinder.
Action on Marcel Cole. He folds now to the grinder. Michael looks down at ace deuce of clubs.
The grinder says he's been winning at poker since day one at age 15 playing stud.
He won the first event this year, the Poker Players Championship, and raises here to $105,000.
All the Mizrakis are good at stud. It's their game of choice.
To Jorgensen, coming off a big win of his own, a WPT event in Paris. Jack 9 offsuit.
When he won his Pot Limit Omaha bracelet at World Series Europe in 08, he beat a final table that included Chris Ferguson, Jason Mercier, Max Pescatori, and Sorel Mitzi.
But a tough table that was indeed. Theo makes the call. The flop, King 8, Queen 2 diamonds. Mizrachi still best with ace high. Jorgensen with a gut shot. He checks. Mizrachi reaching for chips, hoping that Jorgensen missed that flop. That's $150,000.
Yeah, Grinder's got squadouche. He makes the continuation bet. And he hopes Theo does have super squadouche.
Jorgensen has just a draw. And he'll fold. And there you go. Mizrachi wins the pot.
Grinder's tough to figure. He's tighter than he appears, but then he will take his shots.
Michael thinking, welcome to my featured table, Mr. Chip Leader. Jorgensen gives away a few chips to Michael Mizrachi. All right, back over to table 2. Time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
I'm thinking of expanding my wild card hand expertise to guessing when marriages will end.
Filippo Candio with pocket 7s.
Since he was penalized for excessive celebration, he's just been too quiet. He's gone from pen to teller.
The mute Candio will raise it up to $95,000 from under the gun, plus 3. Over to Florida Poker Pro John Racner. He has the Jack Link's wild card hand.
Oh, he's an easy mark. No problem.
Racner needs $75,000 to call from the small blind. And that's what he does.
This is National Week Ace Month, so in celebration of it, I'll put Racner on a weak ace from the small blind. Ace 6.
He'll go heads up with Candio. The flop, there's an ace and 2 aces. Candio with pocket 7s could be in danger if you're right.
Well, if this weren't National Week Ace Month, Racner wouldn't have hit that flop, but he did.
Racner checks it, as does Candio.
Well, if Racner hit trip aces, he would check there.
Turn card is a 5. That does not help Candio. Racner now bets $135.
The best thing about National Week Ace Month is the parade down the strip. I always ride in the Ace of Spades float.
Of course. That is the prettiest float in the procession. Candio makes the call, though.
No, Candio doesn't believe Racner has an ace, but you know National Week Ace Month is not even recognized in Italy.
It's a 4 on the river. Candio wondering what Racner is up to now. He bets $360.
If that's not a weak ace, then my mother's a man.
Candio with pocket 7s and the aces on board.
Boy, that better be an ace.
You could use a win.
I call.
Condio makes the call.
Filippo thought his pocket sevens were good the whole way.
And Racner shows ace-queen a big ace, but trip aces wins the Jack Link's beef jerky wild card hand.
It wasn't a weak ace, but an ace is an ace, Lon. It's a victory for the home team. And don't worry, Mom, everything's fine.
Back in the field, Gary Kostiuk's main event is at risk again as tens have run into the kings of Brandon Steven.
Kostiuk pushed with about 20 big blinds left. Just got unlucky that Steven woke up with pocket kings in the big blind.
We've counted Gary out a couple of times, but he's still here. 9, Jack, 5. Steven still ahead.
Put a king up there for a sweat.
Kostiuk hoping to extend his dream ride.
Turn card is a deuce. That will not help him. Steven still ahead.
Kostiuk down to perhaps his final card. His son Ryan assures him everything's fine. Kostiuk needs a 10.
River card is a 6. That will do it. Steven wins the hand, knocking out Gary Kostiuk.
He didn't get to just cross the main event off his bucket list. Gary Kostiuk got to cross into the top 100 here.
Come to an end.
What a run.
Brandon Steven knocks out Gary Kostiuk in 85th place. Gary getting a well-deserved hug from his son Ryan. He will collect almost $80,000 before heading back to Grand Prairie, Canada. We wish him well in his battle against MS.
All smiles. All smiles.
Now it's time for Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. During heads-up play at the 2006 Horse Championship, Andy Block had the chip lead in hopes of taking the title from one of the all-time greats, Chip Reese.
When you're playing heads-up and you're on the button, you're going to play a lot of hands because there's a lot of potential and you've got position. So like I've been doing, I made a small raise with 7 deuce suited, and Chip called me, and I can put him on a pretty wide range of cards that you can have in that spot.
Flop is 3, 7, 4, a pair of sevens for Block, a gut shot straight draw for Chip Reese.
Chip checked to me. I made a continuation bet, and to my surprise, Chip pushed all in.
I'm all in.
And Reese check raises all in. Wow.
I didn't expect that.
Going through my mind, I'm going through all the different hands I think Chip might have. I know from a lot of my experience playing heads up that people are going to push in a lot with straight draws or pairing to straight draws. You know, I finally decided that I had to call. I call.
That's 7 call. Great call. Andy has turned that 7 deuce into top pair, and now he might turn it into the horse title.
It was the right call with, unfortunately, the wrong result.
Oh, and Reese got the 6 for a straight.
I made the right play at the wrong time.
Like Block, Jean-Robert Ballon looking for his first bracelet. Right now, he needs more chips.
Come on, guys. You know, a lot of times I don't want to call with ace king, but right now I need a call.
He moved all in, but didn't get any callers with ace king.
Jean-Robert's unhappy when he's beat, and he's unhappy when he's not. Therapy might be in order.
David Baker's had a couple of double-ups today, looking for more chips with 2 kings on the board. He fires out a bet of $280,000. Action to Adam Levy, who originally checked the turn. Levy makes the call.
Levy 48th at the 08 main event.
River card is a jack of hearts. Levy checks. He checked the flop, turn, and river. Baker checks. And Levy, not 2 queens, 2 aces, and he wins the hand.
The other David Baker would have put Adam Levy on aces.
And top pro Jason Mercier visiting with Adam Levy.
Adam's a very likable chap.
This guy's kind of creepy.
We will take care of it, Adam.
What's scary is the way Alex Kostritsin has been collecting chips at the featured table. He's added 5.5 million chips to his stack over the last 68 hands, while in that same time, the grinder has picked up just over 1 million new chips. Looking at the tail of the tape presented by the official WSOP gameplay now on Facebook, we can see how these two have fared in those last 68 hands.
Alex has won 2/3 of the voluntary hands he's played. The big difference between the Russian and the grinder post-flop. Kostritsin's been a shark, and Mizrachi, well, he's been flopping around like a fish.
Grinder still with full support of his family, sitting on the sidelines. Action on Alex Kostritsin on the Jack Link's beef jerky pocket cam. He looks down at ace tray of hearts.
Kostritsin's never had a full-time job. That's the lifeline.
A raise to $110,000 from under the gun +1.
You know, if you wear this hat on the highway, you're looking at like a 26-car pileup.
Randy Dorfman with Queen 9 of hearts makes the call.
Former options trader.
Jorgensen lays down to Dewey Lay. Lay looks down at a couple of fives.
Lay has an internet startup company for social networking.
Call.
Lay makes the call.
Social networking. You know, Lon, nobody works anymore.
Peter Jetton will sit this hand out to the big blind, Michael Mizrachi. Michael looks down at king 6 of clubs.
Grinder worked at Bennigan's as an 18-year-old. Who hasn't worked at Bennigan's?
He makes the call. 4 players to the flop. 10-4 jack. Lay with a best made hand with his 5s. Dorfman with an up and down straight draw. Mizrachi checks.
See, this is how your post-flop win percentage goes down. Grinder played rags out of the big blind and missed the flop. It's a loser.
Everybody check to the turn. Dorfman with a queen high straight. Mizrachi picked up a flush draw. He checks it. Kostritsin checks again, drawing dead. Dorfman with his straight. That's 275. Lay folds his 5s.
With the implied odds, it's worth it for Grinder to chase his flush here. If he hits it, Dorfman probably pays him off.
Grinder does call. Kostritsin folded. Heads up to the river card. Dorfman with that straight. Jack of clubs. Wow, Mizrachi snatches the check mark, going runner, runner, flush.
Life is good for ex-Bennigan's employees.
Michael bets.
They call.
Dorfman calls the $500,000 plus. Mizrachi shows the flush.
Grinder gets some payback for some earlier day 6 hands against Dorfman, and he improves his post-flop win percentage.
Randy's tilted.
Mizrachi over $7.5 million, now keeping him in the lofty upper echelon of the main event leaderboard. Can the Grinder be stopped?
Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Alan, it's a big pot out there, buddy. I'm all in. Don't be scared.
I call.
Only a donkey would make that call.
We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Back to the Rio, where the field is down to 80 players, and it may get one smaller. Michael Wyrot on the left holding queens has Jerry Payne, a poker pro from Ohio, at risk with King Jack.
Wyrot smells knockout.
He's still good through the flop. Turn card now. Oh, is a king for Payne. And he's smelling the double up now.
Payne living large. Now just has to dodge a queen for the double up.
River card is a deuce, and Payne will double up to over $2.8 million through Michael Wyrot.
Payne is a poker instructor. Everyone's a poker coach these days, Lon. The guy who made my Slurpee the other day was telling me how to play Jack 10 suited from UTG +1.
Nearby, William Thorson of Sweden put out a bet of $250,000. Action over to his friend and fellow Scandinavian Johnny Lawden from Norway after the turn on a board of ace-10 tray 9. Lawden folds and shows an ace.
I believe the quality of life is greater in Scandinavia. Of course, I also believe the quality of life is greater at OTB parlors.
Lawden read something into Thorson that forced him to lay down top pair.
And William Thorson's got a lot of chips now, no?
You are right about that. As we head back to the featured table, Thorson, you see, has cracked the top 10. But the storyline is the top 3 stacks. They're all at the featured table. Michael Mizrachi has reclaimed a chip lead. Theo Jorgensen and Alex Kostritsin not far behind.
Well, there hasn't been this many superpowers sitting at the same table since Yalta.
Somebody's got a chip leaning against the table there. You guys, whoever grabs the first gets it.
That might be my chip from last year's study tournament in which I cashed.
Well, you can't just, what are you doing?
You want it? Here. He can have it.
Well, I just don't know whose it is. Well, who won the last pot?
I honestly don't know. So if you think that Marcel's more likely, then he should get it.
Nice gesture from Peter Judd.
Okay, let's go.
That's worth one ante, $5,000.
I thought we might have another Pralad Lissandro kerfuffle on our hands.
Blinds still at 20 and 40,000. Cole lays his hand down. Mizrachi, king 9 of hearts.
Grinder started day 6 with 1.8 million chips, now sitting on 8 million.
A raise to 100,000 to the third biggest stack in the room. Kostritsin folds. Jorgensen with the second biggest stack. King deuce of spades.
He's good friends with Gus Hansen. Gus has 3 World Poker Tour titles. As you mentioned earlier, Jorgensen just got his first in Paris.
Jorgensen wants to dance with Mizrachi, so a clash of the 2 big stacks. The flop is deuce 8, 6, 2 hearts. Jorgensen paired his kicker. Mizrachi with a flush draw.
Grinder has 2 WPT titles, didn't break through at the World Series till this year.
Jorgensen checks. His pair of deuces is in the lead. Mizrachi bets $125,000 on the draw.
Grinder trying to improve his post-flop win percentage with the semi-bluff here.
Jorgensen will come along.
Grinder's thinking, this is America. I have home field advantage, so the flush should come in.
Turn card 7 of clubs. Mizrachi does add an up and down straight draw.
But those motley deuces are still best for Theo.
And he checks them.
Maybe Jorgensen hoping Grinder will get bored right here and just fold his hand to a check.
Checks to the river. Queen of spades on the river. Jorgensen with the check mark, but can he take the pot with deuces?
Grinder's thinking, this is America. How did I miss all my draws?
Jorgensen checks a third time.
He's hoping again a check will win this pot.
The door's open for Michael. He does bet $125,000.
We've seen Grinder do this before, Lon, the small value bet bluff on the river. No, it has somehow awakened Theo Jorgensen.
Jorgensen. Check raises to $600,000.
Jorgensen counters with the pot-sized bluff. It's the battle of the bluffs, and he who bluffs last, bluffs best. I believe Cam Moo said that.
Michael, a bit uneasy.
He's got squadoosh.
He can only beat a bluff. Jorgensen can barely beat a bluff himself, but he will take the pot.
I saved so much money.
Michael saying the losses could have been a lot heavier in that hand.
With the flush trying to straight draw.
Well, this is America. People from all over the world do well here, like Theo Jorgensen.
And Jorgensen once again back on top of the main event leaderboard, going over to table 2. Another player who has remained near the top, John Raisner, just folded. Action over to Manuel Davidian. 27-year-old is on the button. He has pocket tens.
Davidian finished 10th at a no-limit event here earlier at the World Series.
He's going to raise it up to $90,000 to Filippo Candio in the small blind with ace-king. Candio wants to re-raise it, $265. Big blind folds back to Davidian with a re-pop to $630.
I'm all in.
And Filippo Candio shoves for it all.
And a big decision and a tough call here for Davidian. Candio all in, but this is for almost all of Davidian's chips. It's a 5-bet by Filippo. Davidian knows he might have run into a bigger pocket pair.
I call.
Davidian commits the chips to put Candio at risk.
It's a race line, 2 main event lives essentially at stake, and a 5.4 million chip pot.
A most critical moment for both Davidian and Candio. Here's the flop, and there's a king. That's a punch to Davidian's gut, just what Filippo needed.
Candio keeping a lid on. I think Filippo is singing softly to steady his emotions.
Davidian looking for a 10, the turn card, an 8, no help.
Candio looking for a big double up. Davidian looking for a 10 and a 10 only.
The river card is a tray, and Candio wins it. Welcome back, Filippo.
Bachman Turner overdrive, 1974.
Davidian hands over almost all his chips. Candio up to almost $5.5 million.
It's my first all-in all tournament, too.
Candio bubbling but not boiling over after delivering that destructive blow to Davidian. And now the Italian is once again a big stack at the main event.
Ciao, ESPN.
As day 6 came to a close, so too did the main event for over 100 players, including former chip leaders and familiar faces like Gary Kostiuk, who enjoyed taking a shot at this world championship.
Best week of my life, period.
Only 78 remain, including competitors like Eric Baldwin, David Baker, and Jean-Robert Ballon, who hung on and advanced to day 7.
Day 7 with 3,200 in chips.
While Theo Jorgensen, John Raisner, and Michael Mizrachi rolled through the day and looked to maintain their momentum towards a seat at the final table.
It could be very exciting. It could be history. Hopefully, I'm trying to make it happen.
For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. Thanks for watching the World Series of Poker.